Coming up next, we'll take you to a Better Life camp meeting where music, good food, and uplifting messages are par for the course. Come along and get a taste of a Better Life camp meeting. It's next on this episode of Better Life Today. Hello and welcome to this episode of Better Life Today. I'm Douglas Garcia, and on this program, we want to take you to one of our yearly Better Life camp meetings. A camp meeting is where we get out of the office and meet with folks like you at a special location for the weekend. At this particular camp meeting, we met on the campus of Milo Adventist Academy in Days Creek, Oregon. Milo Academy is a Christian boarding high school located in the foothills of the Southern Cascade Mountains in southern Oregon. The campus opened in 1954 and encompasses about 400 acres of land. It's just a beautiful location to host our meetings. During the weekend, the attendees often stay in one of the campus dormitories, or maybe they'll bring a motorhome or tent. Meals during the event are provided by the school cafeteria, and they provide some wonderful food. From main dishes to salads and desserts, the meals are just excellent. One of the things the attendees really enjoy is the music. I'd like to give you a sample of the special music that we had during this event. Here is Janet Walden singing Jesus Paid It All.
I stand in Him complete. Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat. Jesus paid it all to Him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. snow.
At this camp meeting, we took a moment to thank those who helped found Better Life, a moment of historical reflection, as it were. At the end of 2018, we sadly lost the founder of Better Life Broadcasting, Delmer Wagner. Delmer and his wife Evelyn have put in countless hours over the years to get and then keep Better Life on the air. We began broadcasting in July of 1990, but before that, this couple had already begun working to get the ball rolling. Delmer had a heart for ministry, for saving souls, and I remember the times that I would share with him about somebody coming to the Lord through Better Life, and you could see tears forming in his eyes. Well, we recorded Delmer and his wife Evelyn back in 2011, and we want to share just a portion of that interview. In it, they talk about getting started and how Delmer would leave the house at night if he found out that the station had gone off the air, and if you look closely, you'll see tears in his eyes at the end as he talks about souls being saved for the Lord. Here now is Delmer and Evelyn Wagner back in 2011.
Well, we just purchased a big dish, and I was interested in all the new stuff, like new things in television, so we ran across this station, 3ABN, and that was way back in the beginning time.
What was really a shock is when we got the dish to begin with, because I thought, why would he spend money on something we don't watch? Because we didn't watch much television.
We got tapes and recorded a lot of tapes and gave them to everybody, and everybody was very thrilled at what was happening.
Because we'd spend a lot of time taping and giving tapes to people and sharing them. He'd say, everybody needs to hear about this. And I could, well, yes, they do, but what can we do about it?
We had a difficulty. Many people thought it was just kind of a wild idea and never would materialize into anything. But we did get a group of pastors that were interested in this happening.
I was just constantly writing letters, and whatever Delmer wanted me to do, I was doing it.
We finally got a license for Rogue River to start with. It was we got a station for license, and we decided there's a lot more people here in Grants Pass, so we moved it over to Grants Pass.
And when you really think about it, we all need to be working for our neighbors, and by supporting Better Life Television, they can turn a switch, they can watch the message, they can learn about the Lord right in the privacy of their own home, where they feel comfortable and relaxed, and turn it on anytime they need it.
I know that hundreds of people have come in through Better Life Television, and so it's a very worthwhile project, a very worthwhile ministry.
Better Life Television was really started and run on prayer, the whole thing from the very beginning. And we're still just watching and praying and saying, God, what do you have in mind?
And I was happy to be a part of something that was so great a ministry.
It is true when he said Better Life Television took all of his time. I mean, we're talking about the television going down in the middle of the night. If a call came in and the television was down, he was out of there, he was gone.
Well, I do get a thrill each time somebody comes in or comes to know the Lord, and I've had an awful lot of thrills.
Stay tuned. We'll have more to share from Better Life Camp Meeting right after this. Better Life Broadcasting is a viewer-supported Christian media ministry that offers streaming programming via apps on various devices. Please visit blbn.org to support Better Life or to get more information. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome back. Our keynote speaker at this camp meeting was Dick Dirksen, who works for the Oregon Conference of Seventh-day Adventists. Dick is known as a wonderful storyteller, And Friday evening, he shared an experience he had while he was a youth pastor in Arizona. One summer, when he was assigned to keep the youth busy and out of trouble, one of the young people came up with the idea of building a house for an elderly Native American woman who was then living in an old shanty. I just want to share a short clip from his presentation. This is where Dick talks about his first visit to see the woman's old dilapidated house, and then he shares how God taught him and the young people an important lesson about faith.
We drove out to the Fort McDowell Indian Reservation. It's about 90 miles outside of Phoenix. And when you get out there and you make the left turn, today you make the left turn, there's a casino. And then about 4 miles in, there's a huge Palo Verde tree. And next to that Palo Verde tree is an adobe building with logs on the roof with lots of holes in the logs. Doesn't matter, it's not going to rain. But started looking at it and realizing there were all kinds of problems with this house. And then we went in and knocked on the door and met Nellie Coyle. I'm 6'2". Nellie Coyle's about 4'9". But she's just one curled up little lady, and she looks out over the top of glasses, which she didn't have, but she was just kind of looking over the top of her eyes at you all the time. Hello? And I said, hi, I'm Dick Dirksen, and this is Timmy. Hi? You want me to buy something? And I said, no, we just wanted to meet you and look at your house. My house? Come in, I'll show you my house. House was about 10 by 16 maybe. It was made of adobe bricks, lots of holes. While we were there, she introduced it to 3 rattlesnakes that lived in her walls and were her personal friends. Lots of kangaroo rats, lots of other things, beasties and busties and who knew whatsies. She showed us where she cooked, which was just outside the hut under kind of a little overhang. She showed us her outhouse, which was down around the creek a little bit. She showed us where she had to go to collect water, and I felt like I was in a third world country. And I was an hour and a half from downtown Phoenix, Arizona. It was mind-boggling. We got back in the car and drove away, and as we drove, I said, so what do you think, guys? And Timmy's response was, how big do you think we ought to make it? And I thought, I'm dead. This is not going to get better before it gets a lot worse. So that week, Monday morning, I went down to the conference office and with some help went through the list of all the people in the Phoenix area who might have skills that would be helpful to us. And the person I kept coming back to was Van Vanden Heuvel. Van owned a plumbing business. He was a contractor. He knew how to draw lines and make houses out of them. And so with courage, and courage and determination and God's strength, I went to Van's office and knocked on the door, and I said, hi, I'm Dick Dirksen. I'm the youth pastor. Yeah, I heard about you. So what do you got going? I said, I'm trying to figure out a way to keep kids doing something positive in service for others during a summer in Phoenix. He said, you ought to have an egg frying contest. And I said, you've been listening to too many grandchildren. He said, yeah, I've been following what you've been doing out there. Where are you guys going to build this house? He knew more about it than I did, I think. And he said, I've been playing with an idea. And he took me into his office, and there on his desk was a drawing, a rough drawing of a 20 by 20, 1-bedroom kitchen, toilet indoors, water indoors, house for Nellie Coyle. He looked at me and he said, well, do you want it? And I said, only desperately. And we became best friends. He said, I'll draw, but I need to ask you some questions. Have you ever built anything? And I said, well, yeah, sure. You know those little model plastic cars that you can buy? I have a 59 Chevy. He said, no, seriously, have you ever laid concrete? And I said, once. Yes, we did the patio in our backyard, and my dad taught me how to make ripples in concrete. And he said, you're not going to be much help, are you? And I said, it's not my gift. He said, well, I'll tell you what. I'll draw the plans. I'll put together the plumbing because we're going to do that in the concrete like we do here in Arizona. So, but you're going to need to get your kids out there to dig the holes. And then once we get the holes dug and I get the plumbing all ready, you're going to need to find 7 yards of concrete to pour into this thing. And then you're going to have your kids scatter all over town and get donations for everything that we're going to need to put in this. And he said, I've made a list of everything that... This guy was amazing. I learned to just love Van. He said, you're going to need so much sheetrock. You're going to need so many 2x4s. You're going to need a toilet with a seat. You can buy them with and without. You need one with a seat. And how much money do you have to spend? And I said, well, I went to the conference and I asked them how much money I had to spend, and they told me whatever I could raise. So I'm rich. All I need to do is send kids out to beg, and we'll have all the money we need. And Van looked at me and told me something that I have kept close to my heart ever since that day. He said, Dick, if I've learned one thing in my life, is that when God has a plan, money is never the issue. Never. He owns everything. He can sell a cow. Criminy, don't worry about him. If he needs you to have money to do something he wants done, he'll provide it. You don't need to worry about the dollars. You worry about the relationships. Okay? Okay. So Friday night, I had Van come. And Van and Mrs. Van came, and they sat up front, and Van showed us his plan. All the kids gathered around, and girls laughed and said, look, she has a kitchen with a stove. How cool is that going to be? Will she know what to do with it? I have no idea. Yeah, the great conversations about ignorance all shared together. And then Van said, now, one big rule. Starting Sunday at 7 a.m., Dirkson's going to be ready here at the academy to take 20 kids out, and we're going to dig the footings for this place. Sunday morning, he was there. I had a step van. That's kind of like a FedEx truck without the lettering. And, wow, we filled it up with kids. They all had seat belts. Not. And we drove to Fort McDowell Indian Reservation, and on the land that the chief had given us, for by now the chief and I had become good friends, and he'd said, Dirkson, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard, but Nellie's a nice old lady. I have no idea how long she'll live in it. I mean, one of these days she's going to die, and when she does, you sign right here, because as soon as she dies, it's my house for the Indians. And whoever needs it, we're going to put one of our locals in. I said, that's just fine. We just want to give her an indoor toilet for as long as she's alive. I think that's cool, he said. So we dug. We took the plumbing. Next Sunday, we put the plumbing in. And then Van looked at me and said, all right, Dirkson, you got a week. If you're going to have this thing done before the kids all have to go back to school, you got to have 7 yards of concrete ready to pour Sunday morning at 6 o'clock. I will not be here. I'm going to trust you to do that on your own. The worst you can possibly do is bury the plumbing in concrete, and that's what you're supposed to do. So I think we're okay. Okay. By now, I had already gone to the big concrete companies and begged with great failure. I'd sent some of the kids to do the same thing for some of the other concrete companies. None of us had raised anything. And although we had some of the kids out raising dollar bills for concrete, we hadn't raised any of that either. We had nothing. Friday afternoon, I'm driving back into town, and Timmy's with me. I'm driving my vehicle, 1958 Volkswagen Bug. We're driving along. Youth pastor and dreamer. And I said, Timmy, we don't have any concrete. 6 o'clock Sunday morning's our deadline. He said, yeah, I know. And I said, so what are you going to do about it? It's your house. And he said, no, it's not my house. It's God's house. I said, so where's the concrete coming from? He says, I have no idea, Dirksen. Isn't there a concrete company we haven't talked to? I said, no. Everyone I know of, we've talked to. In Mesa and Tempe and Glendale and everywhere. We've done our job. We went to Black Canyon. There's nothing. Well, I guess we're just going to have to leave it up to God. God does not own concrete trucks. Timmy, we've got to make a good decision here. We're either going to have to call this off, or do you have some money somewhere up your pocket so that we can buy 7 yards of concrete and have them delivered at 6 o'clock Sunday morning? He looked at me and he said, have you no faith? And I said, no, I'm fresh out. I really am. I don't know what to do now. And he looked at me and he said, then follow the next concrete truck that turns onto this road. Kids. Irrational. And from that moment in my life, I realized that teenagers are irrational. Especially if they're Christian teenagers. Because they tend to trust God to do the impossible almost as if it's obligatory. You told us to build a house, so we need concrete. We've done our best. We've failed. 'Tis now. Follow that truck, Yeah, right, Timmy. There's no concrete companies out here. I'm not going to follow any truck. There's not going to be any truck. But I didn't say that. What I said was, okay, you keep your eye out. We'll follow. And in my head I said, stupid kid. And then a concrete truck pulled onto the road in front of us. I looked at it and I looked up immediately and he smiled. You could feel him smile. Like, boy, am I going to get you, Dirksen. Timmy goes, wow, there he is. I looked, you did not know. No, I didn't, but I'm glad. I'm glad too. We follow the truck. The truck's heading straight towards Tempe. And we drunk. Then all of a sudden, blinker goes on, truck turns right, and goes out into the desert north of Mesa on a road I've never driven. And so, hey, we follow. Boom, 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 boom. We're bouncing along behind this guy. And he goes over the hill into a whole bunch of saguaros, turns left, goes down a hill. Whop! There is a concrete company I didn't know existed. It's kind of in a hole in the desert. Like he's been digging down in the sand looking for dust or something. I don't know. There are 2 trucks. The one we're following and another one that looks like it's not going anywhere soon. This one doesn't look very good either. Before I can stop, Timmy is out of the car, running to the truck. Sprinting, if you will. He comes to the door of the truck. The old guy rolls down his window, looks out at Timmy, and Timmy jumps up and says, "Hi, sir. God has sent you to us so that you can give us 7 yards of concrete so that we can pour the floor for Nellie Quayle's new house. We're building a house for an 85-year-old Indian lady who lives on the Fort McDowell Indian Reservation, and she hasn't ever had water in her house, and we're going to put water in her house, and she's going to have electricity, and she's never had electricity for anything. And do you know that she has snakes living in her wall?" And he put his hand up and said, "Shut up!" And he looked at me and he said, "This kid for real?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he got out of the truck, stood on the running board, door open, looked at Timmy and said, "All right, do it again, go slow." And Timmy said, "You'll need to come down here." The guy gets out. Timmy closes the door, and on the mud of the truck, he draws a map on how to get to Nellie Quayle's house. It was easy. There was a lot of mud. This is Arizona. When he's done, guy looks at me and says, 7 yards? That's an old truck. Yes, sir. 6 a.m. Sunday? Are you kidding? Knocks the ash off his cigar. I can't be there at 6. I can be there at 7. Is that all right? And Timmy said, 7 will do. And I thought, yeah, it will. God can deliver anytime he wants.
Wasn't that amazing? In the rest of the story, Dick goes on to share what happens when that cement truck driver showed up Sunday morning and how the elderly Native American woman liked her new home. You'll want to hear the whole story to get all the wonderful details. If you'd like to order a copy for yourself, please contact us at the number on your screen during regular business hours, or you can email us at offer@betterlifetv.tv. I hope you've enjoyed this brief sample of what a Better Life camp meeting is like. We'd love to have you join us for our next one. They typically occur in the month of June. You can keep up with all our ministry news and updates by signing up for our free newsletter, either in print or email. Then you'll be sure to know what's going on with Better Life TV. In our newsletters, we also share wonderful testimonies of how God is using the ministry to touch lives. Thank you for all your prayers and financial support. Until next time, trust God, give your life to Him, and you too can have a better life today.